Ron Winkle. I'm a paramedic with the SEALs and Vernon TWP Fire now. Let's see, been here about 8 years. My job consists of hanging around here till the tones drop, and then we go and deal with whatever we have to deal with. There's a good feeling when you especially the older folks, when they're scared and they know they're scared about going to the hospital, and if you just talk to them, a lot of these people, if you just talk to them and reassure them and get them talking, they'll forget about their issues, and it'll help them relax. You can actually watch it on the monitor. They like their heart rate drops, their blood pressure comes down. Oh, a typical day on my job. Let's see. Come to work, check out your ambulance. Sometimes you get breakfast, sometimes you don't. You wait around, you wait for your first run, which may or may not come. A typical run, we do 3 or 4 runs here a day typically, so. All right. This is Medic 483. Most of your ambulances are all the same. Keep basic supplies up here. This is your typical, this is on every ambulance in the whole country. Your bandages and whatnot. And then over here, the ALS supplies. This is where we keep all of our drugs. Keep cardiac drugs in here. And our IV supplies. And then let's see, we have IV supplies on both sides. And then we have the famous heart monitor, which we use currently, are using the Zolls E-Series. This is where we do 12 leads, and we can defibrillate, cardiovert. We can do everything the hospital can do. So we can check blood sugar, and then we have the intubation equipment. These are the ET tubes, the laryngoscope. So you'd be laying here, your head will drop down like this. We drop this in here, pull back on the back of your mouth back there, your throat, and then we insert this in down into your lungs. And now we can control your breathing. This is the smart triage. This is for mass casualties. Every ambulance has this, or some version of it. These are the tags. It's where we triage. Triage is French for to sort. So if we have a mass casualty, or 6 or more patients, it becomes a mass casualty. You're supposed to start sorting from worst to the least, and everybody gets assigned a tag. You know.
Well, what brought about my passion is I come from a family of law enforcement, and I didn't want to do the cop thing, but I wanted to find a way that I could still serve the community because I like the concept of what they did. I just didn't want to be on that side of the badge. And nothing against law enforcement. I love law enforcement. That was not the career choice for me. One of my other passions involved with this is teaching the craft. I take what I love and I pass it on to those that want to do this. There's an old saying in the fire service that it's an old firefighter's responsibility to make young firefighters old firefighters. It's awesome to take them from student to coworker.
I feel like the community for me is support, really more than anything. Always pushing us to do our best. and we're constantly giving back to them, and they're constantly giving back to us. And I also see them as our future. Kids coming to the fire station, learning about what we do, and that might have a spark in their heart or mind to want to do this someday.
It's more of what can I do to make myself better, to provide a better service to the community that I serve, regardless of what the makeup of that community is.
When I got onto McCordsville, I thought, I was kind of going to be an outcast just because I'm young, I'm new, I don't know everything that I should know. But I came in, I filled out an application, I had the interview, we had our first run. After that run, everybody came up to me, they kind of just made me feel like one of their own, so I didn't really have to go up to them. They all came to me, took me in. And now it's honestly just like a big brotherhood and sisterhood. These guys are there for you day in, day out. They're not going to leave your side.
My favorite thing about firefighting is the passion, the brotherhood. I experienced the brotherhood in the military. I've experienced the brotherhood in the fire service. They're similar and yet different. The similarities are we live together. We work together, we get to know each other in intimate ways, our families, our hobbies, our interests, our likes, our dislikes. We pick on each other like brothers. We have each other's backs like brothers. So training for carrying the gear is in and of itself a full-time job. Because we do carry so much, like I said, the constant physical training is necessary. You want to be strong enough that you're not a detriment to your crew. So when we do train, the majority of the time we train in full gear. One of the terms associated with training is you train how you fight. Maintaining good cardiovascular health. The number one killer of firefighters across the nation is heart attacks. So you want to maintain relatively healthy cardiovascular system. Considering when we put our gear on, especially full fire gear, getting ready to kick in a door and go into a house that's on fire, you're adding anywhere from 75 to 120 pounds of gear to your body weight that you're already carrying. So you want to have the stamina and the strength, both your aerobic and anaerobic condition, to be such that you're not going to become a detriment to your crew. Mm-hmm. You can go in, you can get the job done, and you can get out safely. Most important thing of this job is at the end of your shift, you go home safe. Mm-hmm. Aspirations, there's so many different paths that are possible in the fire service. I could stay on an apparatus. I'm at a point in my career where I've probably got 11 or 12 years left before I retire. If that's 11 or 12 more years, getting on the truck and rolling out the door when the bells ring, then so be it. If it's getting up into administration, then so be it. I take the responsibilities that are given to me by the command staff of whatever department that I'm on, and I do the job to the best of my abilities. This is one of those lines of work that you never stop learning. And the day you stop learning is the day you need to retire.
My favorite thing overall would probably be just helping people and knowing that, every day you go into the station, that's what you're going to do. Whether that's picking somebody up off the floor who fell, or that's trying to save someone's life who, is in cardiac arrest or just having real bad chest pain.
Mm-hmm. Typical day in the fire service is hours of waiting followed by seconds of extreme. Regardless of why the bells ring, we are called out for that person's worst moment of their life. Regardless of whether or not we see it that way, that's why they're calling 911. And they're asking us to provide a service that they can't provide for themselves. Whether it be, something as simple as helping a kid that's got a scrape on his knee and just needs a Band-Aid and some comforting with, a new mom that's freaking out. Something as vitally critical as working a cardiac arrest on a family's loved one. Car crashes, fires, it's being there to serve.
Hancock County Fire. Hancock County Fire.
Jeff Sylvie. I got on in 1974, and I don't know when I got off, but I just retired from the Indianapolis Fire Department with 27 and a half years there, and I think I had 38 years here at McCordsville.
I'm Tom Sylvie. I'm related to him. I think I've been on the fire department from start 1952, I guess, until approximately 1984, plus or minus some years. Well, I know a group of us got together and decided we needed a fire department.
Where'd you have the meetings at? At the old school?
I think they were, probably the first meeting was at Chalmers Force's house.
Okay.
And then I think the second meeting we had was after the fire department burned. And we had a meeting to decide whether we would be another fire department or we would disband. And we couldn't afford to disband. Well, the first priority was to have a fire truck. The Standard Oil distributor in Fortville had an international tanker. Most of the farm guys that were on the fire department got together and put an engine on and a pump on the back and built it into a fire engine.
It's all improved. Everybody's got better gear. Back then, back when he was on, they just had Carhartt coats, and I mean, they didn't have any protective gear. And they had baseball hats. That was basically their helmet. So we had a string of arsonists around here in the 60s. So every vacant building around here was almost burnt to the ground.
It was at like 68, 69.
Yeah.
It seemed like every weekend for about 8 or 9 weekends in a row,
Yes.
there was a barn or abandoned building that
Yep.
burned.
If they picked the right car this rescue, and it's a better looking truck.
Our top priority is our community. When they call 911, they expect to have a fast response with professionally trained firefighters 24/7, 365 days a year, and we want to provide that service to them.